Every year on this date, I celebrate my first big break on YouTube, which was a video called The Lavender Town Theory. Since 2011, I have always come up with an upload in celebration to mark the occasion, even though I haven't been a gaming channel for a decade at this point. But I somehow always find a way to make the theme work. With my recent pivot of covering the dysfunctional lives of adult entertainers, it made me wonder if Nintendo has ever tried to go after any women in this field, with the answer to the question being a resounding yes. With that, I want to tell the troubling tale of an OnlyFans model previously known as pokeprincxss, including her chaotic childhood, rise to e-girl fame, legal dealings with Nintendo over her name, and downfall due to accusations of child endangerment. But we'll first have to begin this story in the late 90s, when Pokemania was in full swing and the adult actress was born. Marrissa Cloutier was born January 17, 1997, and grew up near Colorado Springs, Colorado. While not much is known about her childhood, she's accused her brother of being a, quote, abusive predator. As she put it, "My mom is coming over today so she can actually listen to all the abuse my brother put me through, and I'm hoping she can finally open her eyes. If my brother dies, I'm throwing a party with his gravestone as the cake." Beyond this, her earliest online activity dates back to 2012 when she created the Tumblr blog Oceanic Trip. She started posting here at the age of 15. Like many from her generation, she identified with the predominant scene culture of the time. This led her to post selfies online, later calling herself one of the original e-girls. The young woman quickly grew a following, with many of her photos garnering over 100,000 reblogs. Sadly, this only seemed to lead to bullying in her real life. People in Colorado were so fucking mean to me about how I looked. Shortly after, she began exploring the local music scene, an experience that would end up being quite traumatizing. You see, Marrissa recounted being preyed on by 6 artists whilst underage, detailing 4 separate instances in which she was sexually assaulted. Because many were also cheating on their partners, the teen would end up being the scapegoat and ostracized by the community. I went to the police to report it, and came out to Corey Sementol, where he then told everybody about my assault, which resulted in me being humiliated by the whole music scene and everybody calling me a liar, which is why I never went through with the charges. Anytime I tried to come out about it, the music scene shunned me because nobody ever liked me. Just because y'all hate me doesn't take away from the fact that your friends sexually abused me. It didn't help that she had a negative reputation for things like lying about her age, which, to be clear, doesn't mean she wasn't telling the truth about her abuse. When Marrissa came out with her story in 2020, a multitude of victims stepped forward to corroborate her account, with some being as young as 13 at the time of their own experience. Because the musicians named were local and from the MySpace era, a site with bad archives, there isn't a ton of info about them that I could find online. But I was able to uncover that at least one band, Fortune's Fool, disbanded as a result of these accusations. At 17, the self-proclaimed e-girl would find some stability in her friend Xavier, attending their first Warped Tour festival that summer. A year later, she began posting nudes on Tumblr and fully rebranded her account to pokeprincxss. As you can probably guess, this stemmed from a lifelong love of Pokemon, having stockpiled a massive collection of memorabilia from a young age. Her first tattoo also paid tribute to the Game Freak IP, getting an illustration of the character Nurse Joy. So pokeprincxss stuck, and she registered accounts under the alias on Instagram and YouTube. The former was her new main platform, sharing her cosplays and talking openly about her struggles, most notably eating disorders. However, the young woman's life would take a drastic turn when, at just 19, she became pregnant. The father was a man named Shane, of whom she was in a committed relationship. It's unclear how long they were dating beforehand, though Marrissa has seemingly called him a predator, along with another musician they were friends with. "My ex-husband would always brag about how good of friends he was with the Johnny Craig. And yeah, no wonder why. You both were openly sexually attracted to 17-year-olds and sociopaths." While neither felt ready to be parents, they were serious about each other and decided to keep the baby. They got married and welcomed their son Onyx into the world on August 16th, 2017. Yes, he was named after the Pokemon of the same name. What's next? If they had a daughter, would they name her Celebi?
Obviously, if I had a girl, I wanted to name her Celebi.
Unfortunately, their relationship deteriorated before Onyx was even born. According to her, Shane cheated on her multiple times during and after the pregnancy. He also allegedly pressured her into making a couple's Tinder account so they could find girls to have threesomes with. Unfortunately, the lifestyle didn't work out, as less than a year after their son was born, they filed for divorce, leading to a bitter custody battle that went into the summer of 2018. Marrissa later called her ex-husband manipulative, claiming he would scream at their son to the point Onyx suffered from night terrors. He allegedly also refused to celebrate holidays because he was an atheist. Now a single mother, Marrissa scraped by working minimum wage jobs while living with her parents. If things weren't complicated enough, at 9 months old, a doctor told the teen mom Onyx may be autistic and that she needed to do a better job. Shane allegedly stepped away from his son's life, leading to a 3 to 4 month period where he was completely absent.
Onyx's dad left him for a 3 or 4 month period, and during that time, I was only working like a normal, minimum wage job.
Soon enough, Onyx completely stopped talking or showing any emotions. But over time, he opened back up, no longer in a household of constant fighting. Shane continued seeing other people, and in May of 2019, signed over all parental rights before leaving for Denver and never returning. Marrissa recalled that the last thing he said to her was, "Have fun being a single mom forever, cunt." Little did he know, the one place of refuge that had been there her entire life would end up becoming a profitable venture. What needs to be understood is that throughout these tumultuous times, Marrissa had once again grown a sizable following online. She enjoyed watching streamers on Twitch, and one day realized she could probably do it herself. Her first broadcast was in 2018, originally focused on, of course, Pokemon games. At this stage, her main platform was still Instagram, getting a following for her promiscuous nerd-themed photos. The young mom often got DMs asking if she sold pictures, which led her to discover the adult content platform OnlyFans. This was early 2019, right around when OF saw its first major explosion in growth. Marrissa joined around March while still working as a sushi chef at a restaurant called Tokyo Joe's.
I just used to work food, server jobs. I used to be a manager at a place called Taste Affiliate for 5 years. Ended up leaving there, and then I worked at a place called Tokyo Joe's where I basically just worked on sushi and stuff like that.
Immediately, the decision alienated the aspiring streamer from some of her male coworkers who had girlfriends. "I was showing my coworker photos of Onyx and accidentally swiped to a naked photo of me." But Marrissa never felt ashamed, openly posting about her new gig on Facebook. "I would just like to say I'm not sorry for constantly advertising all my sex work content. If my family on Facebook can ignore all my posts, so can you." This was in part due to an ex screenshotting her content and threatening to send it to her dad. So to defuse things, Marrissa told them herself. Her parents ended up being extremely supportive of her decision. After all, she had finally found a way to support herself and her son. Showing up to a family function like, "Hey y'all, I just got raw dogged and paid my rent. What about you, brother?" By August, she made enough to cover 3 months of expenses. 2 months later, she reached the top 1% of OnlyFans. A friend even wrote an article about her for a school paper, dubbing her the Colorado e-girl. That Christmas, Marrissa was able to buy her mom a Gucci purse and her dad a new flat-screen TV. For herself, she got a whole new set of teeth, as well as a quote-unquote new pussy. Her success grew even more exponentially as OnlyFans boomed amidst the 2020 pandemic. With not much else to do during lockdown, she streamed regularly on Twitch, veering from Pokemon titles to multiplayer shooters like Overwatch, as well as horror games which landed her viral clips. By September, she had amassed 50,000 followers on the streaming platform, making hundreds if not thousands of dollars per day. Viewers loved her bubbly personality and interactions with chats, even inviting her most loyal moderators to play with her on stream.
Chat, is there any of my mods who have played Outlast 2 that want to help me in my next streams, please? I'll pay you or something. I just want someone to help me during it. I like when you guys are by my side during it.
But her most popular platform by far was TikTok. At first, she didn't get it, finding it stupid and weird. But after learning how popular cosplays were on the site, she made an account, quickly amassing 1.9 million followers. These avenues further promoted her OnlyFans, and by the end of that year, she had made enough money to move her entire family to Florida. I try not to talk about my ex, but I just want to say I hope he sees my face all over the internet and gets upset since he told me I would be nothing. How's life treating you, Shane? The thing is, such fame came with increased scrutiny, the first of which was from none other than Nintendo itself. It all started in May of 2020 when Marrissa filed a trademark for her username pokeprincxss. Given the Japanese company's aggressive track record of litigation, it was only a matter of time before they took notice. That August, she was contacted by Nintendo, who issued a cease and desist. It firstly demanded she abandon the trademark, but then further stated she infringed their copyright by selling t-shirts and merch featuring their characters. Because of this, Marrissa was forced to not only change her name, but pay back some of her earnings. After 2 months, she was finally able to speak about the situation publicly on October 6, 2020.
So for the past 2 months, I've been going through something, and basically it's keep my username and get sued by the biggest company in the world, or change my username and hopefully be able to rebrand efficiently.
In addition to this TikTok, she also made a YouTube video elaborating on the experience. It was a difficult decision to make. After all, this was her entire online identity. It was unclear what would happen to her momentum as a result of this forced rebrand. But ultimately, the ordeal proved to be a blessing in disguise. As it turns out, her story was picked up by numerous gaming outlets, resulting in a huge influx of viewers, as well as subscribers on her OnlyFans. It was even covered by Vice, likely for the irresistible headline of Nintendo lawyers coming for a sex worker's name. While upset over losing the moniker she had used for the past 8 years, Marrissa was flattered to be personally noticed by the company that had been a comfort her entire life. I want to make it clear that I'm not trying to play the victim in the situation, and only hope to be somebody people can learn from and not make the same mistakes I did. I still love Nintendo and will forever support them. It's kind of a cool thing to say, that the ones who made my childhood so cool, they finally noticed me. All it took was for me to infringe on everything about them. On October 9th, she did her last stream as pokeprincxss, before rebranding to digitalprincxss. It didn't seem to have as much of an impact as she feared, likely because her new alias ended up being so similar. It should also be noted that a majority of the internet was supportive of the sex worker at this point, mostly due to a disdain they had with the House of Mario's litigious nature. Her TikTok grew to 2.2 million followers, and her OnlyFans reached over 330,000 likes. She also double-dipped, making a Fansly which itself garnered 5,500 followers. It was presented as an oddly wholesome story by the media given the circumstances. Sadly, this was not her only controversy, as the next time she made headlines, it would be for much more troubling reasons. As you may have guessed, Marrissa has dealt with many of the criticisms sex workers who are parents face about the impact it could have on their child. She often confronted this on Twitter, arguing that her new income would secure a better life for her toddler. My son won't be in the internet for like 10 more years. Y'all are fucking creepy thinking about my toddler searching for nudes. People actually think my kid is with me 24/7 when I'm doing sex work. I don't ever let anybody stay the night or come over when I have him. I don't even film content or do sexual acts when he's in my home. Thank you. Next. The reality is that these photos being easily accessible is something that will follow her son into the future. While it's certainly true part of her motivation for doing sex work was to support her family, she also said it became, quote, therapeutical to overcome insecurities. Within months of joining OnlyFans, she admitted to getting addicted to sex to the point of it being scary at times. I get my surgery on Tuesday and can't have sex for 6 weeks after, so I'm trying to fuck as much in these 3 days. My goal in Tennessee is to see how many men I can fuck from Tinder in 3 days. Who the hell says that out loud? I have to say I don't understand why Pokemon didn't want to be associated with her. All joking aside, it's hard to ignore the broader picture painted by her social media. If any of this video feels invasive, remember that these are all things Marrissa shared publicly and willingly. Over the years, she would opine about not having any real friends outside the internet. At the same time, she would brag about sleeping with all of her ex's friends, which to be clear wasn't limited to her ex-husband. Talking to guys who are friends at the same time is always fun, because y'all don't think I know, but it's real life Hunger Games and I'm gonna f one of you. I've ruined my chances of dating ever again because I'll probably just end up wanting to f your friends, and I have no friends for you to f, so it just wouldn't work out. She also took issue when men would interpret her flirting as romantic interest. I will flirt with everybody and have issues with people taking it too deep because they think I want a romantic relationship. Nah bro, you're not special, I'm just bored. There didn't seem to be clear boundaries in her life, as in the replies for one video, she clarified the man was just a friend and they had no romantic feelings. When she started filming content for OF, Marrissa struggled to find worthy participants in Colorado. Her attempts to scout men on Tinder were thwarted by the platform's rules against promoting sex work. It doesn't seem like she ever got the memo, as even after getting permanently suspended and caught evading 6 different times, she kept begging them to unban her. In the rare times she could use the app, Marrissa copy-pasted all her messages in hopes of avoiding any personal interactions or friendships. This had the results you would expect. Can I be one of the guys in your videos? Yeah, sure, let's do it. Makes content. Guy ghosts me after. Do you not want to get money from it? Or I have the worst luck with making content with guys here in Colorado. Eventually, she stopped filming with men off dating apps, as well as random hookups in general upon realizing the importance of getting tested for STDs. The reason I bring all this up is to illustrate that money seemed far from the primary motive of this excessive promiscuity, which feels relevant if the rationale is that she did this to give her child a better future. On that note, while Marrissa has stated she posted her son on social media prior to doing sex work, he became far more prominent after. She even had him on her stream.
Onyx, how old are you gonna be?
Yeah.
How old are you gonna be? Are you gonna be 3? All right, Onyx, you're making me look bad. You always talk, except now.
To be clear, I made the editorial decision to blur out the child's face, as he is fully visible on the source material. Marrissa has also admitted to getting into fights with other people's children over how they treat him. I feel like I'm the one who needs adult supervision instead of Onyx at those indoor playgrounds because I'm so f***ing mean to any kid who tries to get in Onyx's way because f*** them kids. I can't stand other kids, holy shit. Mimi got to witness me going off on other kids being mean to Onyx and I'm so terrible. Grabbed a kid to tell him, if you shove my kid again, I'm going to shove you. I'm too protective, shoot me. That finally takes us to the summer of 2021, when Marrissa was arrested and charged with child neglect. On August 24th, a neighbor contacted police after they discovered the OnlyFans model's 4-year-old son wandering outside alone, crying at around 10:20 p.m. The police report notes, the area where Cloutier and her child reside is surrounded by bodies of water, wildlife, and vehicle traffic, as well as other potentially dangerous hazards for an unsupervised child. When authorities arrived, the influencer claimed she had left to buy laundry detergent from 7-Eleven and that she had not been gone long. Upon further questioning, Cloutier changed aspects of her story, admitting she had gone to meet with a friend who lived 11 miles away. Marrissa then told officers she made a mistake and that her anxiety made her lie.
You know, not everybody's perfect. Jesus Christ.
As a result, she was arrested, charged with a felony, and her mother arrived to take custody of Onyx. News of her arrest quickly circulated on social media. By that point, she had been released from jail. Marrissa responded in a TikTok claiming that a lot of things being posted were out of context and very much untrue. It was unsurprisingly received poorly and quickly deleted. The story received coverage by outlets like Business Insider, and several other OF models canceled their collabs. Given the circumstances, many felt it was unlikely this was an isolated incident, simply being the first time she got caught. But at the very least, they took solace in the fact that it seemed like there would be at least some form of repercussion. So you can imagine the public shock when just 2 months later, the charges were dropped. The state attorney's office of the 20th Judicial Circuit said it was not filing charges on October 4th due to insufficient evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. It's not exactly clear why the charges were dismissed, given there seemed to be both evidence and testimony corroborating the fact that this happened. Some have speculated it was leniency for the fact she was a single mother. Whatever the case may be, this outcome enraged those who expected some level of accountability. And rather than show any level of regret or humility, Marrissa decided to respond by mocking the haters, even referencing her excuse for the child neglect by filming in front of a 7-Eleven.
Marrissa, Digital Princess, you're back. Hello. Hey, isn't this your mugshot?
Then she doubled down.
I've learned a lot while being on social media. And one of the things I've learned is that people online feel like they are entitled to know everything about my life because I have a platform. And they think that they can demand answers from me about my life that has nothing to do with them. People online want to act like they know everything about my life, when in reality, you only get to see 15 to 60-second clips of my life.
If that wasn't bad enough, Cloutier then announced she would be making an official statement, which would be available exclusively on her OnlyFans. Yes, she was charging people to access her child neglect statement to promote her uncensored materials. Needless to say, the backlash was swift and immediate. The entire internet crashed down on the e-girl, enough that it made her go into hiding for a month. When she returned, it was with another statement, this time at least trying to seem apologetic. She also clarified that she had never lost custody of her son. This was far from her last statement on the matter though, making numerous more TikToks and Twitter posts. None of them really swayed public opinion, as she basically says the same thing over and over, that either you believe she's changed or you don't. These other people trying to bring up my past in attempts to cancel me are only in the end trying to hurt Onyx. Why try to ruin my source of income I used to take care of him? While she may have expected the dismissal to make this all go away, her career hasn't really recovered. As of writing, she hasn't gained any followers on TikTok over the past 4 years, having less than she did back in 2021. In 2023, the YouTube channel EWU Bodycam released never-before-seen footage of her arrest. Big shout out to this guy because he was also able to get the Chris Chan bodycam footage. His video confirmed once and for all what exactly happened that night. Their upload garnered over 2.6 million views. With now undeniable proof and the entire internet at her throat, she would finally stop evading responsibility, admitting she had made bad choices and that in therapy she realized she needed to change for her son. Of course, this will never stop others from telling her story, like the one you're watching right now or one by Ray William Johnson from earlier this year, which has garnered almost 1 million views. Yeah, apparently Ray is back on the internet and doing quite well for himself. Before we end this video though, I'd like to bring up a few of the responses she made in the aftermath that I haven't seen many people talk about, particularly regarding her son and the impact her online presence has had on his life. One of the few good decisions she made in light of all this was to never post Onyx on social media ever again. With the flood of comments either mocking him or pretending to be him, she was now being confronted with the absolute worst-case scenario of overexposing your children on the World Wide Web. In one reply, a user stated, "I'm not going to address your recent fuck-up, but as a sex worker, you shouldn't have been posting him in the first place. You should have been safeguarding him. What if you had a stalker? Your only thought has been yourself for a long time. I hope that changes, mama." Marrissa responded, "I've been very selfish in the past and I am changing that. Actions speak louder than words and I will continue to do everything for him and protect." Nevertheless, as many predicted and feared, it soon began to affect the child's real life, as shown in a tweet from Marrissa in September 2022. "Tell me why these kids in my neighborhood are screaming at me in Onyx, calling me a whore. One of the kids lives across the street and is now commenting on my TikToks, apologizing because he doesn't want me to tell his parents. 2 months later, she began contemplating leaving sex work, expressing a new interest in cars. I just want normal friends who don't try to fuck me. Like with cars, I genuinely want to be friends with guys who I think have super dope cars. But majority of the time, if I reach out, they think I'm trying to fuck because I suck wiener on the internet. In 2024, Marrissa implied that year would be her last year of porn. I really want to get more into cars and focus my career in that industry. I want my son to grow up and be proud of me, and I feel as staying in porn will cause more future issues with my relationships with those around me. However, she has since deleted the original tweets, and to this day continues to upload content to her OnlyFans. And that pretty much wraps up the story of pokeprincxss. In hindsight, I find it baffling that the internet took her side when Nintendo asked the model to stop using their likeness. She tried to trademark the Poke name, which forced their hand into taking action, as Game Freak couldn't risk the most valuable IP in the world being associated with a dysfunctional adult entertainer, especially considering the controversy that followed. While Marrissa won't be winning Mother of the Year anytime soon, I can't help but have sympathy with the trauma and abuse she faced in her younger years. More often than not, this sort of background leads to an unhealthy view of intimacy, along with a myriad of other problems. With the COVID boom gone and her best money-making years behind her, all I can hope is that digitalprincxss saved at least some of her money for her son's future, because I'm sure he's gonna need it.